Hi, everyone. It's great to be with you as part of this virtual CVN conference. My name is Anthony Russo. I'm the Assistant Dean for Enrollment Management at the Boston College School of Theology and Ministry, and I'm also a former Jesuit volunteer.
Hi everyone, my name is Amanda Shar. I am a current student at the STM and I'm a former Mercy volunteer.
And we're really excited to talk to you today more about the Boston College School of Theology and Ministry and our programs. We're so grateful each year to have a good number of former CVN volunteers who join us to study. And so we're hoping that some of the information we share today will be helpful for you as you work with folks in your program to discern what might come next for them. And something to note, and we'll get at this more later on, but we do, in recognizing the value that former volunteers bring to our school, we are committed to offering at least a 75% tuition scholarship for anyone who has served with a CVN member program in the last 5 years. And again, we'll talk more about that a little bit later on, but I did want to note that from the beginning. So we're going to start by playing a short welcome video that'll hopefully give a big picture overview into our school.
Rigorous intellectual or academic formation is central to the mission of the STM, and it's really important for effective ministry. But rigor really takes another form in the way that we integrate the four dimensions of formation: the academic with the pastoral, the spiritual, and the personal. All of these are ways in which we can apply the great ideas of theological study to our everyday lives.
I think one of the most important things we do as a school in terms of formation is to pray together and to worship together. So to me, attending our Thursday liturgy, attending daily liturgies when I can, and showing students that my role here is not just for instruction, but also to stand shoulder to shoulder with them in this common work that we're doing together.
There is this idea of, when you're looking at theology, that it shouldn't just be something academic, it should be something that affects the whole person. And something that you're learning that is something that's intellectual, but it should be informing your spiritual life. And I feel like the STM gets that. So we do a lot of courses, but there's also practicum. And so you're working within the city of Boston, within the university, developing those skills that we are learning about in our classes.
Students are much more interested in the way in which they can come into deeper relationship with God and one another and the people that they're going to serve. How does the way in which they embody these great theological ideas offer compelling witness to their Christian faith?
We are loved and beloved. And that is a message that most people are not getting. They don't understand that love is something that is being given to you without any price. And to understand that love is to hopefully return it and to share it. And I think that for me, that is something that you get from the classes. We have amazing professors here, amazing administrators, your cohort, the people you're taking classes with. They're here for a special reason because they have questions themselves.
In the Prophets course, I have student presentations, and so students are asked to take a passage from Prophets and give a presentation about how this passage would be relevant to their ministry. And I have to say, this semester I've been totally transformed personally by some of the reflections students have made and some of the ways that they have brought their passage to bear on their lives, on their work. And for me, someone who's devoted my life to interpreting Scripture, understanding Scripture, what I love about teaching here is that students, through their own reflections, are always opening up new dimensions of Scripture for me. And they're showing me things about this particular passage that I never thought of or considered. And these are contributions that can only come from these students because they're coming from a particular location, a particular context. And so they're able to see things that I'm not able to see.
So St. Ignatius offered us a vibrant legacy, a charism, and a way in which a a particular way of living out our Christian faith and a unique vision of the world and our place in it, and in particularly in community and in solidarity with the people that we serve and with the people that are in most in need of ministers today.
Hopefully that gave you kind of a big picture sense of the way we approach everything we do here at the School of Theology and Ministry, which will ground a lot of what we're about to talk about.
So now we'll start with a conversation about academics. So education with conviction is really a hallmark of the STM. Students here are able to immerse themselves in both theology and ministry. They're able to combine their theological interests with practical application. We do have the nation's largest theological faculty, but as Anthony mentioned, we have small class sizes. And because of the size of our faculty, we have a wide variety of interests and experiences that are represented here. It's also important to note that we do have our own Theology and Ministry library right next door to Symboli Hall, which has a huge collection. Anything you could need for your classes, it's either in the library or the librarians know how to find it. And also, we are a part of the Boston Theological Interreligious Consortium, which allows students to take classes at a number of institutions in the Boston area to expand, the course options.
And I'm going to talk a little bit now about our master's degrees, which would be typically these 3 degrees would be ones that folks would come into after their service year or a few years after that, whenever they might decide to start graduate studies. So I'm not going to talk about each specifically. We really work with applicants throughout their discernment and application process to figure out which program might be best for them. It's important to note that each program, we have the 2 programs, Master of Theological Studies and Master of Arts in Theology and Ministry, which can be completed full-time in 2 years, and the Master of Divinity, which can be completed full-time in 3 years. Part-time study is also an option based on the needs of each student. And while each degree sort of has a specific focus, they're all really oriented toward forming students, whether it's for further study or for direct ministry, to really serve the church and the world using their unique gifts and passions. Something I do want to call out is that the MA in Theology and Ministry can be completed in a hybrid format, which would allow students from all over the country, normally folks who are working full-time, to continue their full-time job and pursue a master's degree here. And so that would entail online study during the academic year, as well as in-person study over the summer. And our summer community is really vibrant and really replicates all of the components that are found during the academic year here at the school. Really another popular option for the MA in Theology and Ministry is our dual degrees, which Amanda is a student in and is going to talk a little bit more about.
So for our dual degrees, students are able to combine an MA in Theology and Ministry with one of 3 other Boston College graduate degrees. So they can choose either social work, mental health counseling, or business administration. So the combined program, students typically complete in 3 years. And it's important to note that students must apply to both programs separately. So you'd apply to the School of Theology and Ministry, and then whichever partner program you're interested in. One important thing about the dual degree is that there is a supervised ministry portion of the MA in Theology and Ministry that is completed through the partner program, but you can work with your field advisor to make sure that your placement is working towards your specific career goals. And then for students who do the dual degrees, they're typically enrolled in the STM in year 1 and during both of their summers that they're studying with us. And you can learn more about the dual degrees at that link listed at the bottom of your screen.
The last academic area I want to call out is spirituality studies, which is a new initiative that started last fall. It might be of interest to you in your roles working with volunteer service organizations or for folks, volunteers themselves. So we do offer a number of advanced degrees that can be specialized in, where folks can specialize in spirituality studies, either Christian spirituality broadly or Ignatian spirituality. And we have 3 new graduate certificate programs, one in Christian spirituality, another in Ignatian spirituality, and the last in spiritual and pastoral care. And these are really designed for folks who don't have a master's in theology, but who are looking to really integrate Christian spirituality into whatever field they might be working in. For folks who already have a master's in theology, we offer a postmaster's certificate in spiritual formation, which is completed over 3 summers, 2 weeks each summer, and really goes into depth in different areas of spiritual formation, such as spiritual direction, retreat leading and planning, planning prayer services. It's really integrative and in-depth kind of study that really informs and contributes to folks in their current ministries. New last summer was an intensive on the 19th annotation of the spiritual exercises, which is for trained spiritual directors who have completed the 19th annotation themselves to better prepare themselves for directing others in the 19th annotation. And lastly, we have a continuing education non-credit program for ongoing formation and supervision for spiritual directors, and more information about that can be found on the link on your screen as well.
So now we'll take a moment to talk about student life. One aspect of student life that's important is community formation. The STM has a wide variety of student organizations. You can see a few listed here on your screen, but these are really led by the students. So while we have a great variety, if you're here and there's something that you would like to see, students are welcome to create new clubs once they get to campus. And then spiritual formation is another important part of life here at the STM. It's hugely encouraged and valued. You can see several different options for spiritual formation listed here on your screen. And it's important to know that there is financial support for all of these options. So students are able to take advantage and really work to grow during their time here at the STM.
And on the topic of financial support, we do, as I mentioned earlier, offer generous financial support to help minimize the barriers and burden to graduate study. And so 90% of our master's students receive scholarship aid. And as I mentioned earlier, we do guarantee at least a 75% tuition scholarship for applicants who have served in a Catholic Volunteer Network member program in the last 5 years. We also have a number of graduate assistant and research assistant positions within the school that students are welcome to apply to. And one of the great values of being part of the Boston College University is that there are a great number of positions across the school that any graduate student can apply to. So there really is great institutional support for helping students find jobs while they're a grad student here to support their study. Couple notes just on some admissions info. So for folks who might be looking to start in spring 2021, our deadline is coming up on November 15th. But our big kind of deadline and push right now is for fall 2021. The priority scholarship deadline is January 15th. And we really encourage fall applicants to get their application in by that deadline for the highest scholarship consideration, though we will continue to accept applications on a rolling basis after that. A couple of notes and changes for admissions this year is that the GRE is optional for 2021 admissions in response to realities presented by the COVID-19 pandemic. In addition, there used to be a year of ministry prerequisite for the Master of Divinity degree, and while that is still preferred, it is no longer required. And we want to thank you so much for watching this video. And if you do have questions, please feel free to email us or call us or check out our website, all of which are on the screen in front of you. And please spread the word to folks in your programs and know that we are available at any point to talk to anyone who might be interested to help support their discernment. And thank you again so much, and we hope you enjoy the rest of the conference.